Welcome to Keep Traveling, Your African Story, the only podcast that shares the real voices and journeys shaping African tourism. I'm your host, Rael Zieve, and I've been a part of the African tourism industry for over 20 years. Through my inbound tour operation, Keep Traveling, I've had the privilege of connecting travelers from all around the world with the magic of Africa. This podcast is my way of opening that up to you. A place to learn about the people, properties and opportunities that make travel across this continent so very special. As a start to a great bunch of episodes that I'm going to be doing on Seolo Africa, which has properties in both the Kruger National Park and Victoria Falls, introducing the Regional Ops Manager, Nikki Meyer. Nikki, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Rael. Great to be here.
It's great to have you, and thank you so much for allowing me to come and not only do the podcasts in person, but experience the beautiful camps that you have to offer.
You're very welcome. It's great having you here. Thank you.
Nikki, can you tell me a little bit more about Seolo Africa and how it was born into these 4 different properties?
That's a long and complicated question, Rael. The short version is it really started with the opening of Rhino Post Safari Lodge and Plains Camp in the Kruger Park. And then we went further and explored in Zimbabwe, found this magical island and opened Chundu Island and decided that we would bring all of our marketing and lodge management in-house. It's been very successful, and one of our shareholders has Masuwe Lodge, which is one of our preferred partners, and we do their marketing as well for them.
Okay, so almost all under one umbrella. Does that get a bit complicated for you at times?
No, not at all. The lodges are very compatible with each other. They're all in the same sort of market, and the combination of Kruger and Victoria Falls is amazing. It's just so popular. And with the flights opening up between KMIA and Victoria Falls, even better. So it's actually got easier and easier as it's gone along.
Just give me a little bit of history, because you said Plains Camp and Rhino Post started together, or one after the other, and it was you and your husband that started this, correct?
So we didn't start it. We actually arrived while they were under construction. Plains Camp had just opened and Rhino Post was still under construction, so we were brought in initially as the general managers for the concession in the Kruger National Park. At the time that we arrived, there was just a small staff at Plains Camp, and they went on leave. They'd been working a long time. It was really early days. So my husband went in and did the trails, and I did the cooking and the laundry, as well as overseeing the building materials and things for Rhino Post. So it was quite an experience. I was living in Skukuza. We had a 7-year-old son at the time who had to start school in Skukuza. So I was leaving at about 10 o'clock after dinner, driving to Skukuza, then opening up the laundry and doing linen until 12 or 1, then getting up early in the morning, getting my son off to school and shooting back to Plains Camp to make breakfast. So it was a very interesting time, but it was great fun.
I'm sure it was. I think we all go through those periods of time where we work weird hours and trying to bring up children and everything like that. So well done to you. I've already been to Plains Camp and I've chatted to a couple of people there. Fantastic people. Really loved it. The beautiful thing about Plains Camp was the walking safaris. Are you going to start introducing that here at Rhino Post as well?
We're actually not. It's been a matter of great debate over the years. Our initial idea was to do walking at both, hence the company name Rhino Walking Safaris. But at the time that we built, there was a major issue with firearm licenses in South Africa, and we waited so many years for the licenses to come through. We did have for Plains Camp, so we continued as planned there. By the time they came out, we had changed all our marketing to do walking at Plains Camp and game drives from Rhino Post. So we've kept it that way. It seems to have worked serendipitously. All is going well, and we're not going to mess with that. If anything, and this is not a promise, but if anything, we would consider offering drives from Plains Camp as well. There definitely appears to be more demand for driven safaris and walking safaris, which surprised us a lot.
So the 2 properties are probably about 15 or 20 minutes by road away from each other from my memory. What do you think makes your 2 camps here in the Kruger different from the others around you?
A number of things. Firstly, we're unfenced, which is very different. Secondly, the way we designed and built the camps was to bring the outside in, so that even when you're lying on your bed at night, you can hear a lion roar, you can see the moon through your window. We've built our decks around the trees. We haven't put in lawns and that sort of landscaping. We've kept it as natural as we can. We're also, as far as I know, the only fair trade certified lodges in the Kruger National Park. So we've got a lot of heart, a lot of passion, and we're not trying to provide another 5-star luxury resort in the Kruger National Park. And that reflects in our rates as well. I know that it's not cheap, but that's because running a small exclusive lodge in the middle of nowhere where you need to provide all your own amenities and services is not cheap. And our staff travel great distances, but we certainly, I think, offer some of the best value for money that you can get. We are 4-star, but we pride ourselves on a 5-star service.
You know, it's a conversation that I keep having, and it's about this grading scenario. And I think the grading needs to have a little bit of a change to it, in the sense that everything seems to be graded on the actual accommodation as opposed to the experience. And I think we need to bring that in, chat to the grading council and see how that can be done, because it's not a fair reflection to have a 4-star accommodation but giving a 5 and a 6 and possibly even sometimes a 7-star experience. What's your thought on that, Nikki?
Well, it has improved. It was a lot worse. When we first applied for grading, they wanted to make us 3-star, and we said no, under no circumstances. We'd rather not be graded at all. And the reasoning behind that wasn't that there was anything wrong with the lodge, but we needed specific things to be 5-star. We needed to have room service 24 hours a day. We needed our reception to be open 18 hours a day. Now, in a lodge that has 8 rooms, it's actually not all that necessary, and there are other ways of dealing with it. We have staff on site all the time, but we're limited by sandparks as to the number of staff that may be on site at any time. This is to do with water capacity and that sort of thing. But the service that we provide and the experience that we provide is way, way more than that. The furnishings, etc., would all fit in very comfortably in a 5-star environment. So we decided not to be graded at that point, and then they changed it. They made a separate category for lodges, because lodges used to be graded the same way that hotels were. And they made a separate category, and that allowed us to be the 4 stars that we felt that we deserved. But you are right. There are certain things that are particular to lodges and the experiences that they provide that are very different to what you would expect in a hotel. Dry cleaning, for instance, is really not an issue when you're out in the bush.
No. I think it's an ongoing sort of conversation that you need to keep having with the grading council and see what they can come up with, because it seems an old kind of system, and these kinds of things need to be maybe replaced in the future. Nikki, give us a broad overview of each of the camps as far as the infrastructure that they each have, the number of beds, what other amenities that they have. Let's start with Plains Camp.
Plains Camp is tented, and it's built under a thicket of knobthorns overlooking a big open plain. There are 4 tents, so we only sleep 8 people there. 8 people is the ideal number for walking on safari in the Kruger Park. It's the maximum that you can have with 2 guides. There is a plunge pool, a dining area, and the main area. We've bought a lot of antiques and been very true to the style and feel of the camp, which is very old world charm. It has a little 2-strand electric fence around it, really just an extra little safety precaution, but it is totally open, so the guides walk you to your tent and back after dark. And then Rhino Post has a very different feel. Rhino Post is quite contemporary. It's bigger, it sleeps 16 people, so 8 rooms altogether. It has a swimming pool, and as I mentioned, from Plains Camp we do walking, from Rhino Post we do driven safaris, and even the food is different between the two. At Plains Camp we go for more hearty, home-cooked style meals, whereas at Rhino Post we're a bit more adventurous and looking more towards the fine dining. Not to say that Plains Camp's food is not worthy of fine dining, it's just a different style. Plains Camp is very elegant, very old world. Rhino Post is very contemporary and modern. And then what unites the two is obviously the fact that it's all about the bush. It's all about the experience. That brings me to our third option, which is our sleep out decks. Our sleep out decks you can book from either Plains Camp or Rhino Post, and that's built, I'd say, about 4 meters from the ground, 4 individual sleeping platforms and 1 communal platform. Below 2 of the sleeping platforms are bathrooms with hot water and flush toilets, but it's literally just a big tree house overlooking a waterhole and a reservoir, and you sleep out under the stars. We've built shade cloth tents that when you're lying in the tent at night and you're looking up, you can't see the shade cloth at all. You just see the stars and the moon. And we've had amazing experiences. We've had lions roaring under the deck at night. We've had hyenas killing something at the waterhole. That's a completely different experience. There you're sleeping on a mattress, on a stretcher bed, and you have a duvet and a sleeping bag, and you're camping out in the trees. Your dinner is cooked over the fire. It's a great experience. When we started it, it was everybody's dream. We all like that kind of thing. But we weren't sure that our international visitors were going to be quite as impressed as we were. So we soft pedaled a lot on the marketing. We said we'll only do it if people really want to. We're not going to try and upsell or cross-sell or anything else. It's turned out to be so popular that one is maybe not enough.
Either the newlyweds are going out there and enjoying the evening, or the people that have been married for the odd 40, 50 years and maybe the spouse wants to get rid of the spouse. Yeah, I can see that possibly happening. Let's go on a little bit to Msoui Lodge and Chundu Island.
Sure. So Msoui Lodge, funnily enough, has been there for a very long time. It's beautiful. It's built out of stone. Typical older Rhodesian style of building, or Zimbabwean now. They've got, I think now 10. It was 9. I think the 10th is now open. Wilderness chalets, plus a family unit, which is actually a little cottage with its own swimming pool, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, etc. And then they've got the hideaway, which is for honeymooners. I think the beauty of Msoui is that it's close enough to town for people to go and participate in all the adrenaline adventures and the arts and the culture of town, and then just shoot back and sleep in a sanctuary that's on a private concession. There's game on it, but you're not having to travel far. In fact, they're situated about halfway between the airport and the town. They also offer complimentary transfers from the airport to the lodge and back, and from the lodge to town and back, anytime you want to go, whatever you're wanting to do. So it's a great base for the many town-based activities that are on offer.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Tell me lastly about the last property, Chundu Island.
Chundu Island's very close to my heart because that one we were involved in from the very beginning. We flew up there with the directors, had a look at it. The question was, would you be interested in working on this with us and helping with the development of it, etc.? And the answer was an absolutely resounding yes. Even before we built the lodge there, going and sitting on that island, I'm not the only person to say it. People use different wording, but it's magical. Some people say it's spiritual. It's just an incredible place. You have to see it to believe it. I think we've done it justice with the lodge that we built. It's beautiful. It's also tented, but in a very different way to how Rhino Post and Plains Camp are tented. We've used square steel tubing, so the tent is very tight, and wooden decking. The rooms are very spacious, and every room has a stunning view. 6 of them look over into the Zambezi National Park, and 2 of them look up the river and then across at the Zambezi National Park from an angle. Those 2 are family suites, so we do have family suites there as well, which is great. We've got a lovely swimming pool with the best view, I think, in the world, quite frankly. Looking straight up the Zambezi River. During the low water season, it's across our white sand beach. We've got the most magnificent trees on that island. There's everything from palm trees to baobabs, anna trees, everything in between. And of course, that just makes it a haven for birds. So it's a fabulous spot for bird watching. And in fact, the Seolo's turaco is endemic to that area. And we do spot it fairly often from the island.
Listen, Msoui and Chundu Island sound magical. I'm really looking forward to going and having a look myself, chatting to the people there. Nikki, was tourism always going to be the business for you? Was it always going to be the plan?
Not at all. No, I studied public relations in my early days, later studied teaching through NISA, but I fell into tourism probably really early on, and I just stayed there. And it's ended up being a great passion, and I love it. Never for a moment thought I would do that. I actually was a bit of a city girl. I had lots of high-heeled shoes. Never would you catch me in a pair of flat shoes. My nail varnish and my lipstick always matched. The hairdresser was my friend. And then one day, just out of the blue, a chap that I had met offered me a job in Botswana. And I said, no, I wouldn't take it because I already had a job. And he said, you're not going to last 3 months in this job. I said, of course I will. I'm good at what I do. And he said, no, you won't. Mark my words. 3 months later, I got a call from his mum who said, Peter wants to know if you want that job in Botswana. And I said, please tell Peter yes. And I took that job in Botswana and I just fell in love with the bush. I have one pair of heels and I tried to wear them a little while ago and I just had to kick them off. There was no ways I was going to last 10 minutes in them. But it's a very happy change for me. Very happy change indeed.
So you've really landed into something that you really love. I can see it in your face. Tell me a little bit about the normal day for the regional ops manager of Seolo Africa.
I hate to burst the bubble, but there's no such thing as a normal day. Every day is completely different. Because there are 4 different lodges with 4 different sets of operating challenges, etc. And we're talking in different currencies, and it's just very, very different. I've had to learn a lot about Zimbabwean labour law. In fact, I'm now studying labour law by correspondence. But a day could involve anything. I could be woken up by an air horn in the middle of the night. Our housekeeping staff don't live on site, so I'm telling a story from way back when, where I needed to go and change the sheets on somebody's bed and wash their sheets in the middle of the night at a basin outside, kicking at hyenas who were yapping around my heels. That's a less ordinary experience as an ops manager. More normal is a lot of spreadsheets, budgets, audits. I do our fair trade audits, work on our BEE audit. There's an awful lot of paperwork involved. Probably one of the more complicated things is doing buying for the lodges in Zimbabwe and arranging to get everything up there. It's not the same as when we need stuff for the lodges in South Africa. You shoot to the shops or you order online, it gets delivered, and that's the end of it. When we're bringing things into Zimbabwe, it's all got to be exported from South Africa, imported to Zimbabwe. So yeah, there are lots of complex issues. I also deal with guests and agents to a certain extent. Usually when they're having a last minute crisis with their booking or their travel arrangements, family member has passed away. So I deal with the more complicated side of things, while the managers at the lodges deal with the day-to-day challenges.
So when you do get a chance to chat to the guests, what do you think guests always rave about after having left one of the Seolo Africa properties?
I can tell you that the number one thing that everybody raves about the most is our staff. They absolutely love our staff. I think part of that is when we started out, right in the beginning, my husband and I interviewed all the applicants for Rhino post. And there were so many, we were completely overwhelmed. There were just so many people looking for work with varying levels of skill, etc. And we decided that you can teach skills, but you can't teach attitude. And we decided to employ the people with the nicest attitudes. The people that didn't necessarily have to really know what they were doing, just have a good idea, and we could refine those skills. And that's what we did, and I think it's paid off in bucket loads. Of our 44 staff, 27 of them received long service awards, with a few of them having been with us for 22 years. So I think that that's probably our strongest compliment that we get. And second to that, I would say, is the fact that we are very respectful of nature and very ethical in all that we do. I think there are more and more people who are leaning towards more sustainable safaris, and that is our dream. That's our goal. That's what we want.
You've been involved in the 4 properties for so long. Is there anybody in particular that really stands out for you as someone that just gets the job done, whatever it might be, whether it's the cooking, whether it's the cleaning, someone that really adds value to the operation?
You're making my life hard because I can think of at least 6 or 8. I would say if I were to be mean and cut it down to say 4, I'd give shout outs to our 2 managers, Marley and Dardley. Dardley from Chundu Island and Marley from Rhino Post Safari Lodge. They both really do a sterling job. And then I think the other 2 that I would choose would be William, who's our chef at Plains Camp. He was one of those guys who had been working in security and he was looking for a job washing dishes. And he got that job and he just fell in love with the kitchen. He was constantly helping the chefs and learning a bit here and learning a bit there. We eventually ended up sending him to cooking school and he's now one of the chefs and it's fantastic. When he answers the phone in the kitchen, if he's at Rhino Post, he says, "Willie the best chef?" So yeah, William definitely, he's just come such a long way. And Sorta is our senior ranger at Rhino Post. She started as a cleaner, then she went into housekeeping, making beds, then she became a waitress, then she became our head waitress, and then we caught her studying at the bar one day and said to her, "What are you studying?" She said, "Oh, I'm studying nature conservation." And it made sense. Her brothers are in nature conservation. Her father was in nature conservation. So we gave her opportunities to go out with the guides. We took over paying for her studies, refunded her what she had paid, and we supported her in that process. And then when we had an opening for a guide, she applied, and we all had a minor panic attack and said, "But she's our head waitress." And we could only see her as that smiling lady in the dining room handing out food and glasses of wine. But we gave her a bash and she beat the others to the job and has never looked back since. She's actually studying further now. She's studying to be a trails guide. She's our senior ranger. So we're very proud of her.
Thanks to Nikki for giving that shout out about her and the chef, William, at Plains Camp. Nikki, let's finish off now. The last question that I want to throw at you is, if a guest could take away one particular feeling after staying at one of your properties, what would you want that to be?
I want to come back.
That's nice. They want to plan their trip back. As soon as they arrive home, they want to start planning to come back again, right?
For sure. And we've had guests who come back and back and back. We had one couple who stayed 3 nights the first time they came. They were from the UK. Second time they stayed 4 nights. Third time 5 nights. Fourth time 7 nights. And they just kept coming year after year for a week at a time. And they brought family members with them on various trips. Their dad still holds the record for our longest staying guest. He treated himself for his 80th birthday and booked in with us for an entire month.
He must have become one of the furniture after 3 weeks.
He was. We all cried when he left.
Nikki, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciated your time and energy and allowing me to come on site and do multiple podcasts. Thank you very much for having me. It's been really awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show again.
Thank you, Rael. Thanks for the opportunity and hope everybody enjoys it as much as we do.
What an informative conversation. Thank you so much, Nikki Meyer, for sharing your story and for everything you're doing to grow African tourism. Don't forget, every week we feature fantastic prize giveaways from some of Africa's most beautiful lodges, camps, and travel partners. To enter or to read more about today's guest, head over to our website at www.keeptraveling.africa/podcast or follow Keep Traveling on social media for the latest episodes, stories, and travel inspiration. I'm Rael Zieve and this has been Keep Traveling, your African story. Remember, a few years from now you won't remember how much it cost you, but you'll still remember the memories you made. Keep traveling.